Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Neremik. Welcome back to more of the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time we got pretty much, I think, the entirety of the way through the second part of the trial, which isn't too bad. And also, we're back in less than like multiple months. I know, look at me sticking to a promise for once. But I think we went off to nab the guy that was in Winterbanks doing the investigation part at the very beginning of the case. Which means we're in a little bit of an intermission for now. So, Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards her frequent cold shoulders now. Ginny, you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw it, that picture. What picture? Ah, you mean this? The photograph taken by Hillie's red-handed recorder. Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's going to think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it. Sure, you've got to have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. Of course I can. Ginny, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Bruno's cleverly managed to piece together a lot of new information, but still, we'd really like to hear it from you. Alright then. It was after we'd had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yeah, I remember. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 221 to Winterbank's place. I had to know if Iris' story was there or not. The Hound of the Baskervilles? I know it's about or nothing. But if you ask me, there's something in it that Sherlock Holmes don't like. Something that we don't people reading. So that's why I lied to Iris about sticking it in lug with Winterbank for safekeeping. At least, that's what I thought at the time. So you broke into Winterbanks. I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea all that was going to kick off, did I? I shook the lock and snuck inside. It was dark, quite as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp on the counter a bit of wick, and that's when... What do you think you're doing? I nearly died, I did. And next thing I knew... I grabbed the gun off the counter and was waving it in the air like... I don't know what. Ah, you're the girl who was in here this afternoon. Anything pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? Story? I beg your pardon. Under the something or other. If it's here, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see if it's here, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, do you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving my gun around, would you? So then the old cuffs unlocked the storeroom door and we both went inside. And it was there, alright. The manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Ginny. Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up outside the main bit of the shop. The skulking brothers arriving on the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone's breaking in! Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about? I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry. I better go take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you in. Now don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances, okay? And with that, he took the gun out of my hands and walked back out into the shop. I came back in the storeroom like he said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what was going on. Sounded like they got into a bit of a scrap. Started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out the storeroom myself when... I heard a couple shots go off. 2, I think. Almost at the same time. And then there was, right at my feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, so I slammed it shut and locked it as quick as you like. Because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Winderbank might come for you? Yeah. So I went to grab the old cov's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. He was a goner. I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kind of dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. That must be when you passed out then. If I hadn't known what I had done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything that you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. It'll be alright, Ginny. Don't worry. Just stay strong a little longer. Rena's about to put the real culprit through the mill. That cove what was there this afternoon? That Egbert Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. He was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Gina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all in Reno's capable hands now, Ginny. Mr. Naraodo. Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on, it was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got the bog trot off with him, even though he was a killer. No, I could never forget that. Oh. I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end, no matter what. But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hull for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in the trial. You were? Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it. Oh, Reno. But there was one person who stood up for me. Who believed in me and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Ryunosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, You have to believe in the other person first.
What are you saying?
I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver. And a no-good liar. You don't like McGilded, I know that.
That's right. You're our friend, Ginny. Iris.
We know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust.
Yes.
That's really all we need to know.
Exactly.
Mr. Naraodo, I... Defendant Gina Lestrade and her legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I know only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. This is it at last. Final chapter. The final battle. Wish me luck, Susato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner. Let's do this. 17th of April, 1:41 PM. The Old Bailey Courtroom, number 0, because there's only one. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zieks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communications station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's presses of this case heard by the court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. Although the defense's chemical analysis of the bullet scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom.
It's a big mistake to cross Hurley and me. A very big mistake.
My lord, the subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I don't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon, and certainly not like this. Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an extending member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communication Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume? Yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at the pawnbrokers on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well. Without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord. Gladly. Witness testimony. The accusation. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time, but are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detective's homebrew tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. Oh. So, you deny the accusation completely, do you?
I must say I am dismayed. For all the highest courts in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy.
It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld.
Then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today.
By golly!
How long am I expected to be detained here?
If, following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately.
Good. Then I shall be away in time for an afternoon tea. Some small consolation at least.
Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination.
So, we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict.
Or is it Mr. Graydon?
My apologies, you are?
Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met.
If you say so. Ashley Graydon. Enchanté. So. I trust we can conclude this quickly.
But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do! Let's do this. We are going to tear him to shreds. I'm sorry, first and foremost, let me look over to the left. Those two are eyeing him in that left-hand side. Are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I think if we press that, they're gonna react.
Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals.
Said by a man who introduced himself as Eggert Benedict.
I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me?
The young lawyer there in the black.
This is a farce.
Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway?
Well, needless to say,
they didn't crack. I have no intention of admitting such an outrageous accusation. There's nothing to really press there, is there? Even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene. We'll press that again. Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes' chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such.
But I'm not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants.
Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes' chemical is able to differentiate different blood samples by...
Spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character anyway?
Oh, I assumed all wonders would know the name. He's a great, well, renowned detective. So, even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective.
A great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we?
Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin?
What? Me? No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you.
Oh? Right, I've run up to with this. How many times have I got to tell you?
Yes, I know, you're not Big Bruv Skulky.
Mr. Nash Skulkin. God blimey, governor. What? Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court? Me thoughts? I don't have a lot of them. Must have been him. What? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke? Nothing, honest gov, nothing. I was just thinking, if he waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Well, it took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So I was, well, you know, I was worrying for him, and... Oh, hell's bells! Mr. Graydon, did you hear that?
What?
Your comrade is worried about you, it seems.
On account of your injured arm. My lord.
Yes, Mr. Graydon?
I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir? The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refuse. You've shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I am not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offence at the insinuation that I was in any way involved.
You claim to have had nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Winterbank's pawnbrokery?
My lord, the defence would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony.
Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon.
Uh-oh. The bottom line is, I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment where the man was killed.
Really? Oh, really? Okay, so that's a photograph of Shu. Graydon. I'm just going to quickly check this. Mr. Winterbank appears to have used the autograph to write our redemption ticket. Never mind. There will be something in our evidence thing that will just say he was there. But I'm trying to think as of what that'd be. Gina's representation papers, blood samples portfolio, Iris' story manuscript, pawnbroker's ticket coat. I don't think there's anything else really there that's screaming it. McGilded case notes, today's paper. I don't think that'd be there just yet. Autopsy report, crime scene photograph, floor plan, gun, Gina, stereoscope, music box disc, Sholmes' pouch, third bullet. I'm just gonna press it. It's like, surprisingly nothing is jumping out at me. Never had anything to do with it. You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident. Obviously, I'm not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study. No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about. Nuh-uh, but he sure does. Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Inspector?
Come again, Sunshine.
You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon.
Well, yeah, I do remember meeting yourself and the pawnbrokers that afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall.
And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article.
Well now. I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly.
What? But you must!
I'm not gonna lie and pretend I remember something that I don't.
What's going on here? Craigsy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras that Hurley installed in Winterbanks.
Yes, of course.
Indeed, and the gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say.
Exactly! Which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. I merely entered the shop to pursue the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. This makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it?
What do you think, Bruno?
I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away.
The complete opposite of Hurley then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better.
Well, at least I managed to prise a little more information out of these witnesses' lips. Well, thanks to the Skulkin brothers.
Yes, they were the key to it after all.
So, he says he had nothing to do with Winterbanks. Well, we know that's not true.
Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court record.
Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could become a valuable weapon. I agree, actually. I think that final... oh! I did not realise that that was there, and... Okay, I'm gonna go here. You're screaming at me to present something. What can I present? Today's paper, weirdly enough, what does it read? Plumberg perishes in pit post wonder how awful Virginia, I mean. Tomorrow's headline will be Dislodged Diver is Dauntless Do-Gooder. I don't think this is gonna have his name in it, but I just wanted to know if that was possible. And then what's on the back? There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well, look. Ministry mole classified secrets leaked. I don't think that really has anything to do. Communication interception. I wonder perhaps this is what Uncle Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yeah, we've already assessed both of these, so... And then, crime scene floor plan. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get anything on here that's screaming, you know, he was there. I don't think we unfortunately have the thing to use that. And then that says Formic Gilded. Formic Gilded, that's meant to be defended half a year ago. I don't know, actually. I'm kind of stumped. Unless we present this.
Objection!
No. I thought that possibly because he does redeem the coat for the thing inside, that might be the way to go with it. But no. Won't having us. What else could we have? Like, I feel as though we need to establish the fact that he is connected somehow, but... McGilded case notes, there's not going to be anything in here, is there? Again, we just need to find this thing. Magnus McGilded, Renosuke Naruhodo. Yeah. Didn't think so. One of the news. I genuinely don't know where to go from here. I mean, we know... So it could be something to do with the disc or the calendar, but... I don't think ballistic markings are the way to go, because that's a bit early, innit? And this is a box, which I think is just one small box. I wish I knew. Unless that is... Hang on a second. Can we possibly... I'm going to present this just as a Hail Mary, see if it works.
Objection!
Wow. Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of the murder, in Mr. Winterbank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course. Wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have reiterated numerous times now, you were mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on this disc. Ah, yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. I wouldn't have even thought that, holy. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon. You refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with this smear of blood on the disc. Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What is the meaning of this? So, you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendants? Gotcha. Order! Well, Mr. Graydon. It would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. I think we'll do this cross-examination and split it here, because I remember this trial getting quite long. And I reckon this will also take some time. There's a note on the disc saying, "From McGilded," but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. I think you did. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say, the famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder? Yes, my lord. The one and the same. Good lord! Mr. Graydon! Are you saying that Mr. McGilded and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Order! Well, I certainly don't expect to hear that name uttered in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to depositors at Winterbanks.
It's funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it?
In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Winterbanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please. I don't like where this is going to go, but we're just going to have to power through, unfortunately. Because I don't really have too much to sink my teeth into. So it says for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. Why? What is it? Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So, you see, I have what I'll need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse while on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim that was your overcoat? Obviously, and in my haste, I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet there is a note on it that reads, "For McGilded." I'm a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met McGilded at a gentleman's club in the city. I was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So, the disc in question? It's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly.
Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she?
No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut, which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury.
Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it?
Let's leave it alone for the time being. I think I'm with you on that, we can't really push back against that too much. Stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling on the day in question. Odd. Very odd. So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right, despite being mindful of danger when walking in insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Objection.
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Winterbanks. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a variable font of nonsense. Nonsense?
I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. Why?
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right, this very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way.
No, it didn't. Nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine.
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets?
Yes, exactly. You should know all about that.
Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contribution to public life, yet he had a dark side too.
Where are you going with this, Van Zeeks?
I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they?
That's enough! Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know.
Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume? The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector.
The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first.
What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zeeks here.
Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony.
Gladly, my lord. Now, I reckon we're meant to dead-end this. So I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. I'm going to back up to 3, press that, and then press 5, and then walk presenting. Had you ever been to Winterbanks before? Only once for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoy browsing such establishments. So, when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course. Such is the art of the pick-purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. Ugh, he can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. Okay, and last but not least, press this final statement. And if this doesn't advance, then we'll have to get to presenting. But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items? No, not at all. Oh. A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of Mr. McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. Okay. Mr. McGilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Winterbanks. Then, when he realised he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket.
There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth.
The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day.
But Gregsy's being very strange about all this.
There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony. And apparently we have the tool to do that, and I'm just thick. So, let's evaluate. Pawnbroker's ticket, box. And then pawnbroker's ticket, coat. I don't think any of those will be fine. Representation papers, it's like, is it going to be out? No. I don't think there's anything on this first page that's screaming at me. Victim found deceased on the last scheduled omnibus of the day after a stab wound to abdomen. Details of victim, trial summary. Yeah, no. Today's paper, doubt that's anything. Autopsy report? Don't think so, unless the gun is McGilded's, but I think that's kind of out of the blue. Crime scene floor plan, stereoscope. Anything on here that says McGilded? I don't think so. We're going to open it up just in case.
You have to pop your 2 prints in here to start with, you see.
And then when you look through the eyepieces, you can see the image in 3 dimensions.
The important thing is to get the position of the 2 prints.
I don't know who came up with the idea of a stereoscope, but it's really quite fascinating. Is there a way to open you up and just have a look inside? Okay. Ooh, look at that. It's totally changed shape just from one little button press.
Well, that is what the button's for, Bruno. You're just like Hurley. You boys love pressing buttons, don't you? Especially if you don't know what they do.
I don't like how that line came out, so consider this a formal apology. Anyway, McGilded, you're written on here anywhere. Not that I can see, tragically. And then we've got music box disc, Sholmes' pouch, 3rd bullet. So this is what was entered into the court record. There has to be something I'm missing here. So we know for a fact the coat was McGilded's. Do we know what the box was? I don't know. Does that say McGilded? Oh, we don't see the signing thing. It's written very neatly, but still, perhaps it's paper. I don't know what the hell this box is, so I'm just going to present it, because it's the only other thing that was in there that comes to mind. This disc was deposited at Winterbanks on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police later that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Winterbanks, as this second pawnbroker's ticket provides. There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilded's and Winterbank's pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. This is the second ticket, is it? What had the man deposited? The article description reads, 1 small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article has been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument.
So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks? I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Winterbank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What? Good gracious! Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir.
What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Ah, Hurley's red-handed recorders again.
As previously explained using this plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Winterbank received his customers, and other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited.
According to the information on this ticket, McGilda's small box had been forfeited already, 2 days before the incident at 9 PM on the 13th of April to be precise, which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 PM on the 15th of April. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see. So you have 2 pictures to compare. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard we considered theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So, your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector? Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints, and the yard's conclusion is that every single item is exactly the same in both.
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question, and my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy.
Ah! I don't believe it. If I could just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawn box. They might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Runo? I've been thinking. I wonder if these 2 photographs really are exactly the same.
What? So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that in fact on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment after all. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these 2 photographic prints somewhere? I don't know. I don't know if there could be, if I'm being entirely honest. I'm going to use a piece of evidence, because we've got 2 of them. Let's use a stereoscope. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
I'm not entirely sure if I follow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy? I'm going to use the stereoscope, because I think we can just compare them, and something might jump out.
Take that!
I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the 2 prints stereoscopically.
Ooh! Yes, you've got the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion.
Juror number 3, what a surprise.
Come on, Runo. Let's put these pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now, through the eyepiece.
Oh. I wasn't sure at first, but there was a clear discrepancy between these 2 prints. What?
You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the...
Do I really need to? Well, I suppose everyone else isn't using it too, but there it is just for posterity. Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me... wait. Unbelievable.
By Jove, you're right! How extraordinary!
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilder's small box was indeed not stolen from Winterbanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilder is in fact?
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in these photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork, what if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf, nothing was stolen, which means quite simply that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilder's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact it was moved like that change things? It changes nothing. No, No, you're right. It changes nothing. Is that a smile on Miss Graydon's lips? Wait a minute, what am I saying? Of course it changes things. Oh, so I thought at first, but actually I'd say it changes everything. Well. It's changed your mind, certainly. And that capricious behavior earns you a penalty, my learned friend. Ugh, I really should have thought that through better.
But Counsel, if nothing was stolen and all that happened, what was that box moved slightly? How can that possibly alter the state of affairs here in this courtroom now?
The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Winterbanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zeeks. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until this evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce? Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen, a Nipponese specialty, it'd seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilder from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It'd be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilder perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of his pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. You know, that does make a rather lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Though goodness knows Miss McGilder was rich enough. But you can't deposit cash as a pawnbrokery, I'm quite certain of that.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have.
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well,
What's the matter, Bruno?
we know that they're related, don't we? But they're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know Mr. McGilder's true character, and we know the disc is significant even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that Mr. McGilder's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information.
Oh no!
And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury.
But Ginny...
Could it be that Van Zieks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he's anticipated everything?
But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us.
Sorry? What do you mean, Iris?
Well, what is it that you always say, Bruno? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time.
Alright, the exact significance of things that Mr. McGilder deposited within Mr. Winterbank's shop is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? The right thing to do is bring this one to a close, I think. It's been going quite a while. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It does all help out a bunch. It lets me know that you want to see more of this and all that good stuff. Join us next time for what I presume is going to be the conclusion to the case, although we might have an extra one depending on how long that last bit drags on for. And yeah, until next time, all that said and all that aside, thanks for watching, guys. My name has been Neremik, and peace out.